Boom, we're going. Mr. Burke, Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. You?
I'm doing well. Was today Monday?
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday. I'm getting my Monday morning. We're doing well. Tuesday morning. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was class?
Class was good. Can't complain. Being in school, professional student, so can't complain.
What was the program you were taking again? Sorry?
So I'm doing my BED, Bachelor's of Education
Yeah.
at the Mount.
You like it?
Yeah, it's good. I think there's a lot of similarities between teaching and coaching, so it seems like a nice career choice for me, so I'm excited about it.
How many years is the program?
It's a 2-year program.
You started it last year?
It started this year. So I just started in September, yeah. So 3 years not being a student, kind of getting back into the student routine and all the other extracurriculars I do with hockey and stuff. So it's been busy. It's good, but it's been busy.
You were saying it does line up very well with your hockey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, having summers off as a teacher, I think is it's a nice work-life balance, and
100%.
Having the summer hockey program and stuff like that, it's a really nice niche to keep you busy all year round.
You're always a guy who is busy.
Yeah.
Like you're always the guy. Like everyone has this guy in their group. Is just the guy who messages you and says, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that?" And you're that guy when it comes to hockey. I'm a spare when it comes to hockey around here. But you're always the guy who's just always moving and grooving and just has something, which I love. You need a guy like that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just kind of fell into it. I don't know, man. I used to be a lazy kid, but now I'm not. I'm busy. I'm on the go all the time.
I wouldn't say I was a lazy kid, but there was definitely points in the week where I didn't do anything for hours. And as you get older, you just want to move. Because I find when you're older and you stay still, it's just you become stiff. You're like cement. If you just sit, you're dry. You got to move.
Yeah, man. I don't go to the gym anymore. No shocker, never did when I played. But I'm in a rink so much. Like that's my exercise. That's that kind of keeps me moving.
I was saying that I was talking to someone about this the other day about playing hockey again, and I probably do it 60% for the physical activity and 40% for the fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to get out. I'm done with running. I'm done with jogging. I'm done with the treadmill. I'm done with like that bike. Pretty much to my right is there for show. It's the only way I'm moving is if I'm playing a sport. And hockey's, man, the sweat. You get a good sweat with it.
Oh yeah, it's hard on the lungs. Lungs bleed, buddy. The lungs.
Yeah, they bleed. They do bleed.
Yeah. Taste the iron in your mouth.
So yeah. So how was the Monctonian up there?
Man, it's a grind, dude. Like it's fun for the kids. They work really hard. It's a big showcase for them. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But any coach out there will attest to it. Trying to keep 20 young individuals, out of trouble and focused for a 4-day weekend, where you're holding their hand through everything they do. It's a grind for a coach. So, not a physical grind, but just mentally. You're just, so it was a good weekend, though. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to see the boys finally get a chance to play in a tournament because, we've had COVID shut down the Ice Jam and the Monctonian for the last 2 years. So it was nice to have some of our kids actually get to experience a tournament because they hadn't had that at the U18 level yet.
It must be a lot of fun as well, just for the regular league, playing other teams rather than everyone just within Nova Scotia.
That's the best. Our division, our draw, we didn't get anyone from our league. So, we played Kensington out of the PEI. We played Western Newfoundland, and then we played a Quebec college team. So, you just got 3 different teams that we may never see for the rest of the year.
One thing I learned about as I got older and I was actually out of hockey was coaches' relationships with other teams. I actually got this from Troy Ryan. Years later, he's like, "Oh yeah, like every time you ever went up to Miramichi, like I stopped in and just said hey to the other coach." Like the relationship, it's not a rivalry. It is, but it isn't because you want to talk to the other coaches, talk about the league, see how things are going.
Yeah.
Do you have that relationship with other coaches in the league? And when you went up to Monctonian, did you chat around?
Yeah, so you get to familiar with some guys. A guy who scouts with me in Truro used to be the head coach at Kensington. He's not there anymore. He's with UPEI. But, you'd always talk to him. You'd always make sure you go see him. I used to have a buddy, Brad Tasink, who coached the St. John Vitos. So he would always be around, go get to see those guys. And, Steve McPherson and Moncton, they run a great program. So we always run into them, talk shop, how's the year, blah, blah. So you do get kind of the coaches, they stick around. So you start to see some familiar faces and you start to talk with some guys. So.
What was the topic of conversation this year?
Other
than COVID?
Other than COVID, well, just how are things, right? You haven't seen some guys for 2 years. So it's just, how's the year? How are you doing personally? How's your team? What do you like? talking with the Moncton coach, Steve McPherson. He's the GM of Edmundston. One of our old players, our old captains, Brendan Sibley's there. So I just said, how's Sibs doing in junior A? Like, there's a lot of connections.
Yeah.
So it's cool to kind of catch up with some of those guys.
When you go up there, do you have the coach hat on? Do you have the scout hat on? Or do you have the JB hockey development hat on? What hat do you wear?
Man, I juggle all three, to be honest.
See, back to my busy. You're busy.
Different angles, man. I mean, like when our team's at the rink and we're getting ready to play, obviously, it's coach hat. This year with the restrictions, you couldn't really hang around and watch at some of the venues. You had to kind of be in your room, play your game, and then kind of get out. But in previous years, I would stay at the rink. Like I would drive up. I wouldn't take the bus with the team because I knew I'd be at the rink watching other teams and all that. This year it was kind of scouting while coaching. You kind of notice guys that you're playing against, who stood out, those type of things. So it's a little different this year, but typically that's how I would do it. And then, the JV stuff, the prospect game, seeing some of the kids I worked with over the summer, we got to watch the games in the big rink A at the Monctonian, so the stands. So it was nice to kind of watch those guys, kind of get to live a cool hockey moment, right? And, whether you had a small part in it or not, like, it's really cool. So.
Going back to the Quebec, what do you call it? The game, the Q game?
Yeah, the Q prospect game.
The Q prospect game. Who decides what kids get to go into that?
Yeah, so I actually have a good insight into this because I used to work for Central Scouting. I used to be the Nova Scotia guy for Central Scouting for the Quebec League. So the way it works is, and my brother, Taylor, he's now the Nova Scotia guy. He kind of took my old role. I kind of passed it on to him. Yeah, so he, the way it works is you create your list for your region. And, you start to give grades out to kids, right? Like an A grade's round 1 to 2, a B grade's 3 to 4, and so on and so on. And you kind of make like a list of like kids to watch, right? Like I think these are shoo-ins for the prospect game if we're taking, 24 forwards and we're taking, 16D. I think these kids from my region are shoo-ins. Let's watch these guys. And then the way it works is there's about 4 or 5 Quebec guys, and then you get 2 New Brunswick PEI guys, 1 for each province, and you get a Newfoundland guy. So they all come together, they kind of have a meeting, and they sit down, and they kind of give you different regions, different kids to watch. So they could give some Nova Scotia kids to the Newfoundland guy, just so there's a different perspective on them. And then for all those scouts, there's 2, heads of the snake, if you will, and they're kind of the final say in it. They're responsible for all the kids. So they do come in with kind of a template for which kids should probably be in the game. And then they kind of, pick and watch some other guys and they make adjustments based on that.
Is there a little like politics involved with it up there?
Yeah.
Because I remember when I went, there was.
Yeah. Being a part of it, I like to say, no, there isn't. It should just be the best kids. But, selfishly, sometimes you throw a kid in there, because you just want to see how he does, Sometimes you try not to take too many from a team, so maybe that limits how many forwards, maybe a good first-year forward gets left out because they took, 3D from a team. I know a few years back, there was like 3 max defensemen got in, but a forward didn't, so just some things like that do happen.
Yeah, but I guess politics are in every aspect of life, not even sport. Just
and it's not the end all be all to be in the game, right? There's kids that do play in that game who don't get drafted, right? There's kids who go up there, have a good weekend, they get put in the prospects game, they don't even get picked, and then the opposite of that, kids who aren't in the game have great seasons, get picked late in the season.
Do you like to preach that to your team?
Yeah, it sounds like you're just trying to say something to make them feel better, because a lot of kids are disappointed when they don't get to go in it, but it's just the reality. I mean, a hockey, there's only 40 kids in that game, and in the Q draft, there's 250 some picks.
It's true.
So,
I never thought of that.
Wow. And that's from the Atlantic region, right? So, I mean, keep your head up. It's just a game. And from the coach's hat, right? Putting them on the coaching hat, it's actually worse when you have more kids in it because it's an extra game that your guys got to play in a grind of a weekend. So like if you have 4 or 5 kids in it, that's 4 or 5 kids on your team that are playing an extra game.
And they're going balls to the wall that
game, probably harder than they play for you. And, it's just depleting them, right? It catches up, right? When was the last time you played 6 hockey games in 3 days,
It probably will never happen again.
It never happen again, right? So it is a grind. So it kind of is a disadvantage. I wish they kind of changed the format. Maybe we play 2 games on Thursday because, in the midget division, the U18 division, you play 1 game per day. So there's no 2 games in a day. So why not play 2 Thursday. It's the first day of the tournament. Why not play a morning and a night game?
Yeah.
Then play a morning game Friday, then the prospect game Friday. That way, I just think it maybe balances out a little more than 1, 2, 2, 2, 2 like the rest of the way.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. The development of Major Midget, or sorry, U18. You and I both played in that league.
Yeah.
Great league when I played. Great league when you played. What are you seeing now in terms of change of the game at that level?
Dude, I think it's just the overall skill. The physicality of the league, like, it's still there, but I think it was a little more profound in our game when we played, being physical and stuff. Whereas now, man, some of these kids, some of the things they can do with the puck, I could never really do at that age. So I think that's where the game has definitely evolved, a lot more skill. It's really rare now to find a kid who just works his tail off and finishes every hit, but also can toe drag through guys. Like, it's very rare to find that. It seems like they kind of have one or the other now. Or, and if they do have both, they're like an elite prospect. You know what I mean? So that's probably the big difference in the league, I see.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the NHL, that's pretty much it. It's hard, even if you have a grinder, even if you look at Reeves, he still has skill.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much the way it is.
I know, man. It's you try to preach it to the kids. We try to preach to some of our guys. You got to play physical. You got to be able to finish a check. These are what scouts and what coaches look for, right? It's assumed everyone has skill as you move up the ladder, right? So what are you bringing to the table that can get you in the lineup, get you ice time, and help the team win?
You're sounding like Steiny right now.
That's
all he preaches.
I know, dude. There's so many hockey cliches, but they're cliches because it's a fact, right?
Yeah.
So, we've had a couple kids this year who were skilled guys, but they've grown and they've put some size on, and now they're just naturally finding out that they can play the body, and their games have gone to a new level. So it's nice to see that progression in some kids.
It's awesome for you too, just being in the game for so long, and you get to see the progression of a kid to when, I don't know, 14 to 20 years old in the queue.
Yeah.
That must be a special feeling.
Yeah, it's cool, man. They go from young awkward kids to these well-oiled machines, right? Like, they're men at that point. Like, I remember one kid couldn't even look me in the eye when he was a 15-year-old, and now he's a 20 in the queue, and he comes in, shakes your hand, looks you directly in the eye, right? It's just like that maturation. It's just, it's impressive, but it's cool to see their development. That's for sure. I've been in it long enough now and I'm sure other coaches can, feel the same way, but I've now seen them from 14 to like 22. Like, I've been in it long enough that, geez, I'm seeing some kids run into the liquor store, right? It's definitely a cool experience.
When you see the kids at the Quebec Major Junior Hockey, have you been to many Q games this year to be able to?
I've been to 2. Yeah, it's just with our schedule, it's so hard to kind of get to a game. They typically play on a Saturday night or a Friday night, and with how busy I am, I try not to do many things on a Friday night. So the odd Saturday night or Wednesday night game, I do try to get out to.
What are you noticing in the Q level right now? It's great because that league they're back to normal too. They're playing teams in the Quebec region and Atlantic.
Dude, what hockey, man. It's so good. Like, I try to preach it to our kids, as early as I get a hold of them in my JV hockey stuff. Like, I try to preach to them, like, you guys have no idea how good the Quebec League is. And everything we're doing is try to prepare you and get you there, right? And, dude, that hockey's insane. It's
I haven't
so
been to a game
good,
this year.
Man. Oh, I watched Shawinigan play the Mooseheads on a Wednesday night one night. I went with Brad Rickman, and there was 4 first-round NHL draft picks on the ice. Yeah, Shawinigan's got 2 of them. The Mooseheads have a few picks, and it was just like, dude, the skill, and it's just impressive, man. Wow. It's impressive. Like, stuff I could never dream of. I could never do.
They're so
gross.
Nasty.
It's so, it's crazy. Like, one of the kids, he went to the AHL last year after, the league shut down. He had like 5 points in 4 games in the AHL.
And now he's back in the Q playing.
Now he's back in the Q. It's just like, just with the Texas Stars, just doing his thing.
I always wondered about the amount of games that you played in the Q compared to the NCAA. I think there's benefits of both NCAA and the Q, but one thing I do love about the Q is that it's treated almost as a pro schedule. How many, like 62 games?
Yeah, they're up 68 maybe.
It's up there in games. How do you feel? I like that.
Yeah, well, it's a business too, right?
Yeah, but NCAA is a business too.
Yeah, it is, but they're technically, Yeah, it's a good point, but the CHL prides itself on preparing you for professional sports, right? That's kind of its business model, right?
I
So
can agree to that.
yeah, so the grind of CHL, it's pretty close to a professional league.
But do you think that that can help a player be developed at that young of an age, like playing that many games? I'm agreeing, saying it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, they're on the ice so much. Like they're on the ice every day,
Every
right?
day.
Every day. So does it develop them? Absolutely. Right? It's just natural. Like the more you do something, the better you'll get it, right? The more you practice something, the better you'll get. So whether it's in school or whether it's in sport, the more you practice, the better you'll get at something. So the fact that they're on the ice so much, they're receiving that high level coaching, like it's just natural that they develop quicker.
Do you have any goals, or I guess I don't want to say goals, but do you have any? Obviously, you're in a good position now with the Steel Subaru, but do you ever one day look to the Q? Man, maybe I could coach there one day. Maybe I could do something there one day. You don't have to answer, but it must be at the back of your mind.
Everyone would say, "Oh, I'd like to coach and get paid to do it." We do it for a small stipend in the U18 league, right? You're not making much. You're basically a volunteer. So, to get money coaching, I think any coach would love to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
Is it a realistic goal for me? No, I think I'm kind of more focused on the skill side of things. I really like coaching in the U18 level. It's a good niche for me. I relate to the kids well. I like working with that age group. They're passionate. They're pretty mature for their age at that point. So it's definitely, I like that area. Yeah. I think, junior A, maybe somewhere down the line, but, my goal right now in life is to, become a teacher, teach high school science and, run my hockey stuff during the summer. That's kind of like where I'd like to be. And then doing the U18, during the year.
Sounds like you have a plan or like a map laid out right now.
Well, I mean, you got to have a plan, dude. Like, my younger ages, I just free-willed it, and I paid for it. So I'm speaking from experience.
How's your brother doing right now? I didn't know that he was involved in you say a Head Atlantics.
So he's the head Nova Scotia scout for Central Scouting.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's busy, man. I mean, he's a firefighter now. What a great career, great transition from being a hockey player, to be a firefighter, go from one team into another. And, he does the scouting on the side. He's a personal trainer. He trains kids for me. He works out of a fitness boutique on Quimple Road called Move East.
I've heard of that.
Yep. Yeah. So it private classes. He kind of does their powerlifting stuff, and he's busy, man. He enjoys it.
I was gonna say he's huge. When we were playing the other day, he's just jacked. He's like he looks like a firefighter. He's massive.
I hate saying it because he's my brother, but he's a unit, dude. Like he's a unit. It's funny. Like, I recommend kids to go train with him, and he's got a home gym. It's in his garage. It's a big garage, but his gym is like a $60,000 gym. Like it's beautiful. You would never assume it was, a home gym. If I dropped you in there, you just think you were at a studio, right? And they're always like, oh, it's a home gym. Like, what am I getting myself into? And they show up and they're like, Jesus. And then he's there, he's, motivating them and like, chewing them up and lifting weights with them. And they're just like, what am I into? Right. And then they're usually in shock for the first 3 weeks. And then they really take a liking to him.
Dude, it sounds like this place, home studio.
Yeah.
You walk in. That's what people, whenever they walk in here, they go, what the fuck? What's going on here? And then they turn the corner like, whoa. I like that.
Yeah.
But, man, working from home is the new normal. Like, having a studio or having a gym in your house and having your business within your house, you can't sit here and tell me that it's not the new norm.
Yeah, man. No, for sure, dude. Like, I remember Taylor, he was training kids on my parents' garage on Connaught Avenue. It was like a shitty little thing. You could only fit like 2 kids in there. Now he can fit like 12, 15 kids in there if he wanted to.
Dude, that's what it's about. No overhead. He has the business right there.
Yeah. No, I know. He loves it, man. That's his passion. So I try to get him coaching with me. It's like come to the rink, come coach. And he really likes the personal training side of it. He had a great trainer in Alexi Pianozzi, who was a friend of mine. I played hockey with him. You would know Alexi. And Alexi still does his training thing, but he's with Pittsburgh. So Taylor's had a lot of great experience, training, right? Mm-hmm. So he likes to pass it on. And he's had some great success with some kids. If I can pump his tires, he's got a kid now down. He took a kid from high school hockey. He's playing NCAA Division I right now. He's got a couple kids. He trained a couple of the Halifax Max kids, and some of them are having breakout years. They finally put some size on. The the right size, the right strength into their bodies, and they're having some great years, man. So he's had some great results.
I remember being younger, like that band. I'm going into that midget age, and you go into that first like major midget training camp, and you see the guys take their shirt off, and you're like, that's not the guy I saw 3 months ago in Bantam. And then the next thing you know, that guy's playing 1 year in midget, and then he's in the Q the next year.
Yeah.
It's like Roski was like a perfect example of that. He might have Michael or Andrew,
Dude, he was a unit
whatever,
too.
just like one of those guys. Like they're just huge this 1 year. And then the next thing they're playing for Moncton or Shawinigan. It was just that size that they put on, and they bullied kids.
Yeah.
Not literally bullied, but just on the ice, just like got kids.
Oh, for sure, dude.
It's unbelievable that summer. I always remember it.
Yeah, kids are big now, man. They're big, and then some kids, some kids are in a rush, to get big, and it's just natural that they'll take their time. But some kids at 14, some are units, man. Some are big kids. Yeah.
Oh, man, what the?
We got a 16-year-old. We got two 16-year-olds right now that are both 6'4". Like 6'4".
That's taller than this.
It's taller. It's 2 inches taller than me, and they're 200 pounds, right? Like they're big kids. We got a third-year Camden Pellerin who's, dude, that is the most powerful kid I've seen at the U18 level in some years, man. He's just like, he can shoot the puck with a wrist shot from the blue line and beat the goalie, like hit the crossbar. Like they don't see it. It's pretty impressive. He hits kids. They go flying. He doesn't move.
I saw him play when we went up and live streamed the early bird tournament. He had some impressive goals up there.
Yeah, man, he's a unit. He's a good kid, man. He's an awesome kid, and he's just so powerful. I remember we were speaking of the Monctonian, we were there and we're playing Kensington, and they were a pretty physical team. Like one of the most penalized teams in the New Brunswick PEI League. So that, they get rough, they get rowdy, and some kids can be intimidated by it. And I remember we weren't playing well. We were down 1-0, and some kid stepped up trying to hit him as he caught a breakout pass and was skating up, kind of through the dot lane. And the kid stepped up thinking he was going to catch him sleeping. Camden saw him. He popped his shoulder into that poor man's soul like an NFL running back. And that kid did a cartwheel. I shit you not. His skates went up in the air, and he did a side flip. And the whole rink was just like, there wasn't even like loud cheers. It was just like in awe. It's kind of like, oh my God, the pop of that. And our team went on to then score 5 goals unanswered. It was just like, what a friggin'. Yeah, it was impressive, man. So, to tie this all together, some of these kids are so big and strong now with the proper weight training, man. He's been a well-oiled machine.
Well, when I go back to that question I asked you about the development of where the league was when we played compared to now, I thought you were going to say, yeah, the skill's there, but it's the strength, it's the training. Because when I didn't run Citadel Hill till I was 18, 19. Like I didn't train that much.
For sure. I mean, I think it's only natural that there's more development going on, so these kids are probably stronger. I guess the point I was trying to make was maybe they aren't as mean as we were.
Okay.
There's no Daryl Dillmans stepping up in the neutral zone to take your head off. There's no Roskis, right? And if there are Roskis now, they're heavily penalized because it's just the style of the game now, right?
Yeah. Does that element of the game frustrate you a little bit where calls are being made just almost even a score out?
I got to be careful here because...
I know. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I got to be careful just because of my position in the U18 league. But I think one of the, I think a consensus on what we see at our level now with officiating is they associate big hits with head contact. And, if I throw a hard hit and I finish through your chest, your head's snapping down, right? Yeah. It's natural. That's the anatomy. That's how your body works, right? So I think that would probably be one of the main reasons there's probably not more hitting is because now it seems like if you do throw a big hit, you're sitting for 2 or 4, right? So I think it's kind of slowly making its way out of the game at our level because of that.
Which is a good
it's a good thing, but obviously we want to take away headshots, but
you don't want to take away physicality.
Don't want to take away physicality because they're pretty physical at the next level, right?
Very.
So, right?
Yeah.
Those kids are big and strong. So, if we can't play that way at our level, we're not setting them up for proper success.
We had a guy on here the other day, and he's a baseball player, and I was talking to him about the game of baseball and where he thinks it is. Some people think it's too slow. Some people think it's too whatever. What do you think about the game of hockey, even at the NHL level, at all levels? How do you think it sits right now on a marketing ability, on a talent? How do you think it sits?
I think it's the best it's ever been, dude. It's so fast. It's so skilled, man. Like, you're seeing all these stories or talking to people who have never watched hockey and they go watch an NHL game live and they're like, holy shit. Like, how many pro athletes you see from the NBA or from the NFL, they just tweet out, like, the NHL's different. Like, these dudes are tough. It's fast. It's violent, and, it's just so impressive, man. Like some of the things they do, the speed at which they play, the transition, like the smarts, like it's just so good.
I think about it every now and then about how there's the debate, who's the best athlete? Are the soccer players? Is it football players? And I think about some of the things that we do as hockey players, but we do them on blades. And I think everyone's like, oh, you guys do them on blades. It's easy. We've been doing it since we were 2, which we have been. We've been skating forever. Yeah. But watching other people try to get on skates, other athletes, excuse me, they just can't do it. But if you put a hockey player in a basketball player's position, if you put a hockey player in a football player, baseball, if you put any athlete or, any hockey player in another position of any sport, they can somewhat accelerate at it.
Yeah.
We're great athletes.
Yeah,
we're freaks of nature.
Pump our tires here a bit, but I agree with you. I think the hardest thing in professional sports is to hit a fastball. So I'll say that about baseball. That's what
Buddy said yesterday.
Yeah, that's one of the hard. I can attest to that. Like that's probably one of the hardest things to do in professional sports. Or consistently hit a golf shot maybe. But when you think of overall sport, yeah, I'm biased because I'm a hockey player, but I also played a ton of other sports. Right? I think one thing with hockey players, I think we're pretty. We dive into other sports, right? I was a 3-sport athlete. I think every hockey player kind of had a summer counterpart to their hockey. So I think that's probably why we're better at other sports, if to your point. But I also think just like you said, being on blades, being on steel, being on, that small of a steel blade and we're controlling a stick and a puck. Those are things that are not part of your body. Right? You have to be able to understand how to use your stick, how to use your blade, flex points, all of that, right? There's so many variables in hockey that it's absolutely the most skilled sport in my opinion. Soccer players are up there probably too, but hockey I think's one for me.
I think it has to do a lot with our core. We have great balance. If you look, when we go to Leologies when we're 12 years old, what are we doing? We're standing on a half of a blow-up ball, just balancing on one leg with a hockey stick. We're just working on our balance since the age of 12 years old. And if you look at any other sport, you need balance.
Yeah.
And I always remember that in gym class whenever we played something, like if it was a dodgeball. You look at this years later. But you look at the things that you played in gym class and why you accelerated at them, even though they weren't hockey. It was because you were just quick and you had balance and you were able to stop on a dime and move in a different direction. These are things you think about when you're older, but
I know I can tell which kids on our team are multi-sport athletes and which ones aren't.
How?
You just see their coordination. You can kind of see, when they play that soccer game for warm-up, you can tell which guys had the touch. You can tell which guys played soccer or, which guys played basketball or even baseball, right? Just hand-eye. You can really tell.
Yeah, it's a touch.
Yeah, for sure.
You know who's a freak of nature right now? Ovechkin. I love Sid.
Yeah.
Sid, if you're listening, buddy. I love him.
Come on the show.
But, yeah. But what Ovechkin's doing right now at his age, I remember Don Cherry back in 2008, 2009, they're like, Ovechkin, he's going to be done at the age of 29.
He's
too physical. He can't do it. He doesn't wear wrist guards. He can't do it. And you look at this guy, what he's doing now. I think he has 23 goals right now or 13 goals, something like that.
Yeah, man.
And he's standing from one point and he's shooting a puck and it's going in the net.
Yeah.
And he's doing it as he looks like he's 19 years old out there, the way he's doing it.
Yeah, he's a joke.
It's unbelievable.
He's an anomaly, man. It's crazy. He's so good.
And I think it's guys like that are going to be able to hopefully, I don't know if we'll get, no one knows if we'll get Gretzky's record, but the way he's playing right now, he only needs, I think, 4 more 50-goal seasons.
I'll be honest, I'm not as in tune with the NHL as I should be from a statistics standpoint.
I love it.
Yeah. It's good. I always got it on the TV, but I couldn't sit here and tell you, stats of certain guys or anything like that.
Well, when you're chasing history, it's something, you know how you say, oh, like COVID, I just went back to school because I had time. And what I've done with COVID is just look at the history books.
Yeah.
I've looked at the history books of the game of hockey and just everything. And because this kind of makes you look at history. When is the last time something like this has ever happened? Probably it was like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
What was it? Pox? Yeah, our producer there messed up. But I've just looked at the history books, and I've looked at Gretzky, and then I'm comparing him to Ovechkin with the goal scoring race.
Yeah, it's crazy he's doing it in this era.
Well, yeah, that's another thing.
Don't even send me down that road of comparing eras because people get offended by that.
Well, that's another thing COVID did as well. Sportsnet, they showed the old games. And I've watched old games, of course, but not as frequently as during COVID. And you're seeing Bobby Smith play for the Montreal Canadiens go up the ice, but he's getting 8 hacks to the wrist, 2 to the ankles, and no penalties called. And at the end, he get a little elbow to the head.
Yeah,
and you're like, what is this?
I know. different game, man.
And you're like, how
Different game.
It's 100% a different game.
Yeah.
But no, that's probably what COVID did the most for me. Was I just went back and looked at the history books.
Yeah, cool.
You have to.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
dope. I don't have enough time to do that. So
You're in
I don't have
school.
enough time to do that. So I'm in school and doing all these other things. So
Do you have anything online in school, or is it all in class?
No, it's all in class.
That's-
It's good. It's way better, man. You can't. I can't imagine having gone through these last 2 years with online learning, right? Because part of our degree is actually being in the schools. So you do a practicum, you do a placement. I'm placed right now at St. Agnes Junior High, grade 8 math and science, and I actually graduated from St. Agnes, so it's kind of cool being there.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't imagine having done the last 2 years kind of online only, right?
I know a couple, my brother's age, like his friends, they were going into first year university, and it was online, and a couple just said, nah.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait back, which I think is smart. I wish I did that.
Yeah. I always, I didn't really get much out of my online courses when I was in school, right? It was kind of just a checklist thing. Like, can I get this assignment done? Can I, just get in, get out, get my credit type thing.
Yeah, that's not for me.
No, I like the hands-on stuff, the seeing people interacting, sharing stuff, it means much more in person.
Speaking of teaching in person, with your team, do you guys do a lot of video?
Yeah, we do. Our league has a great tool. It's called Instat.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, so the way it works is you submit a game film. They kind of break it down. They give you all the stats. You see your Corsi score, like all these different things, and you can go online. You can watch your shifts. So each kid has an account. They can go watch all their shifts. They can go watch all their turnovers, all their goals, all their shots, everything. There's a video clip for it. So it's all digitized. It's all tagged. So we use that, So on bus trips, when we got time, we got our laptop. We'll download a few clips and say, hey, so-and-so, come to the front of the bus. Da-da-da. We'll show them the clips and so on. But we've had a pretty busy month, man. Our schedule's been crazy. So we haven't done a lot of sit down as a team and watch video. It's kind of just been, who kind of needs it the most right now and how can we catch them up. So that's kind of been our approach because we've been busy, dude. We were in Sydney for a weekend. We had a Wednesday game. We went to the Monctonian. We come back. We had a Wednesday game, and then we were just in Port Hood.
You just got back from Port Hood?
Yeah, this weekend. We played in Port Hood. Cold, buddy. Cold.
Right on the water.
Oh.
Al McGinnis rink there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Unreal rink. So fun to play in.
Best
right?
ice.
Best ice. The kids love the ice. But it's just like, it's such a throwback, It'd be like playing at Centennial Arena with the roof down, 10 feet. It's so small. Right? You can't even chip the puck up. You can't even do a lob pass because it hits the roof. But it's so loud in there. It's a fun place to play, but it's so cold. Oh, it's so cold. So, yeah, we just had 2 games up in Port Hood.
We always used to go up there. I know there was always a guy on Port Hood that'd be like top 3 in scoring in the league.
Yep.
And we'd go up there. It'd be first intermission. It'd be 0-0, but half their team would have a point already.
Yeah.
The
home cooking, man. The home cooking.
Those refs go to the scoreboard. Oh, yeah. 4 from 2, from 9, from 8, from 2, from 7. You just there. Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
But I love it.
And Port Hood's been really – Cape Breton West has been really good. I'd say since I've been in the league, they've been a team to be reckoned with for such a small region. I mean, my first year in the league was the year following them winning the TELUS Cup. So there was some residuals from that team, some guys left over. And our league was so good that year. And Cape Breton West was the third-place team, and they were awesome. They were so good. That was the last time Dartmouth won it. We played Port Hood in the semifinals, best of 5. We had to win Game 4 in Port Hood with like 1,200 people there. It was insanity.
Wow, yeah, what an experience.
What a game, dude. And, it was my first year with the team, so I was kind of the guy doing the video or like the odd game I'd be in the stands, and I was in the stands for that one. So if anyone's ever been to Port Hood, you have the rink, and then there's like the back stands that kind of looks down line on the ice. That's like where all the fans sit.
Where the dressing rooms are, like in front of the dressing rooms? I'm trying to think. It's been a long time.
No, it's been a long time. When you first walk in the door, you got the rink there,
yeah.
But there's the stands, and it has like a warm room above it.
Yeah.
And then along the sides, there's stands as well. But behind the away team's net is where most of the fans sit. And I was just sitting in the middle of it, just like sweating it out with, 1,200 people who were cheering against me type thing. I was sitting there covering my jacket, right? Don't let it be known who I am. But they've been really good the past few years, man. So
aren't they hosting this year?
No, hosting this year, Sydney.
Oh, sorry.
Sydney has the TELUS Cup this year.
Wow.
Yeah, they were supposed to have it last year, but with COVID, obviously, they canceled it. So they gave them the option to to accept it again this year, kind of roll it forward. So they did.
How many other teams from the league get to go? Just one, or the 2 teams to make the finals?
So it's it depends. If Sydney were to be in the like the only way 2 teams can go is if a team from our region wins the Atlantics.
Say that again, sorry.
So the only way 2 teams from Nova Scotia can go to the TELUS Cup,
Yeah,
because they're the host, is if a team wins the Atlantics. There's no scenario in which like Sydney makes the finals of something and another team comes with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would have to win our league, because even if Sydney won the league, they would go to Atlantics. I'm not sure, actually. That's a good point. I'm not sure how that would work, because if they won Atlantics, there'd be no Nova, like they would be in as the Atlantic representative and the host. So I don't know. It would be the finals. It would be the person who played them in the finals of the Atlantics would get to go as the Atlantic.
If they lost.
If they lost to Sydney in the Atlantic final.
They would still get to go to Atlantics.
Yeah, so we still, so our league still has to go through and win our league, go to Atlantics, win Atlantics to get to the TELUS. Yeah, there's no guarantee, right? So
there's still a long road.
Oh, buddy. It's going to be a grind this year. There's some really good teams outside of Nova Scotia. Some really good teams.
Which makes it exciting.
Yeah, dude. It's, kind of the past few years, it's kind of been like the teams from Nova Scotia and then Moncton. That was kind of like the way it's been. And Kensington was that for a little bit from the PEI. Like they were always in the Atlantics. But last year, it would have been Charlottetown. Charlottetown had a really strong team. But this year, man, Moncton and St. John in the New Brunswick division, man, they're cream of the crop, buddy. They're good. They're very good. And then Charlottetown's no slouch either. Like they just beat Moncton on the weekend as well, and they got a really good team. So, there's a lot of parity this year, which is nice to see for the Atlantic Canada
division.
Which is great. Yeah, it's great.
Where are Atlantics this year?
Atlantics, I believe, are in Western Newfoundland.
No.
Yeah.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah, Western Newfoundland. I'm not sure exactly what community that'd be based out of, right? But
that would be great.
Bay Roberts. I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with which regions filter into those Newfoundland teams, but I'm pretty sure it's in Western Newfoundland.
That would be a great time.
Yeah, it would be a great time. So it's kind of looking forward. The PEI sends a team, and there's only 2, so they just play each other. Like their standings in the New Brunswick PEI League doesn't really matter. They just play each other to send a PEI representative. So, Charlottetown's really strong this year, and Kensington's kind of in a rebuild. So it kind of seems like Charlottetown, no pressure. You guys are going to go to the Atlantics. And then, the New Brunswick division's got St. John and Moncton, who are just beasts. So, St. John beat Moncton in the Monctonian final, 1-0. So that seems like it's going to be a fun series up there. And then, down in our league, man, our league's super competitive. You got 8 teams. The top 5 teams are, kind of clumped together. Halifax has kind of separated themselves at the top. Where I think we're in second place, and we're, 6 points behind them with maybe a game in hand. So, we're behind them. But then 3 to 5 is really tight with Sydney, Valley, and Cole Harbour. Like, they all seem to beat each other, so they can't separate. And then, even Cape Breton West is in 6 right now. They're a hard-working team, man. They got great goaltender and Jack Milner. They got some good D. They're just hard-working. And then, Picto's kind of going through a rebuild. And then South Shore's no slouch either. Like, those 2 teams, even though they're, trailing in points, they've had some really close games with us and the Max. South Shore beat us at the beginning of the year. So our league, there's a lot of parity, man. So it's going to be a grind to get out of our league, I think.
That's going to be awesome when it comes down to playoff time, watching that. We're pumped that we get to stream those games. It's fun just being there.
Yeah, playoff hockey's fun, man.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, it is the best. And, the way it shapes up every year, you kind of get 2 Metro teams that kind of play in the semifinals or something. Like, it usually happens that way.
When you went up to the Monctonian, was it packed? Like, was every single team there, or was there a reduced number of teams?
No, the tournament was full.
Yeah.
Every team from our league, New Brunswick League, and the Newfoundland League.
Okay.
We all had to get special permission to travel into New Brunswick for the tournament. So that was kind of holding back the Newfoundland teams at the start, but then they all got that permission, so they got to go in. So, yeah, everyone from Atlantic Canada was there, as far as I know.
Except for us, but yeah.
Yeah, except for you guys. But yeah.
No, man, that's good.
Yeah.
That's sick. No, we're going to try to make that happen for next year. Hopefully COVID goes away, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man.
So what's on the agenda for you for the rest of the week?
Rest of the week, man, We got practice nights. Soups practice Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my nights, I usually have that. And if I got a beer league game, I have one league that we play Tuesday or Thursday. It's kind of once a week. And then I'm in another league, which you've played with me in, and we play either on Thursday or Sunday. So it kind of depends on the week, where my schedule lies. But, I work at an after-school program kind of at East Coast Varsity, the private school in Dartmouth.
Yeah.
So I spend my afternoons there. It's kind of, you get 100 kids in the dome there, and you play games with them and stuff. So it's a nice little part-time gig, and then I'll go to practice. I don't think I have a game tonight, so I'll do some schoolwork tonight. Maybe make a meal in there or something. And I got some sessions during the week. I do a lot of morning stuff, and I do stuff for some local teams like Pee Wee AAAs and stuff like that. So pretty busy, man.
How was the summer with JB hockey development? Were you happy with the amount of kids that came back?
Dude, listen, I know it's my own kind of business and I'm supposed to be promoting it, but man, I have a lot of fun doing it. It's a lot of fun to hang out with kids that are passionate about the sport, right? And if you can influence them in any way, like one of my favorite things is when we're in a game and someone does something. Someone will yell down the bench, "Burke, weight shift!" Like they say something that we worked on in the summer.
What does that mean, weight shift?
It's just something they do, like a technical thing we do. But they'll come up to me and be like, "You see, I did this," and I'm like, "Okay, dude, like I'm focused on the game right now. I'm more worried that you messed up the breakout pass than your nice fancy move you made. But good job." So it's really cool, and just seeing the other kids on other programs flourish, like it is nice. So one of my favorite things is working with a kid that I have no ties to. Obviously like the Bedford and Dartmouth organizations, they funnel into the Subarus. So I get a lot of those kids in the summer. But one of my favorite things is getting kids from the, now the Wolverines or the Gulls or, Cole Harbour or the Rangers, someone from a different program who has no personal attachment to me. They come in, they enjoy it, they get better, and they thank me for it. That's like the best thing. It's very rewarding and, much like teaching.
I feel like in your business is a lot of word of mouth. It's like, oh, Berkey's good, he's good.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, I had a lot of kids who, kids who play on the Max now who at first glance when I sent them out, the brochure of, I'd like to invite you to the program because, I do a lot of invitational stuff. Like, I like to pick my groups and then, kind of go from there. So I'll send out a email just kind of introducing myself. Here's my brochure. Here's what I do. Here's what I'd like to offer you. And, sometimes they'll kind of brush it off and then they'll circle back a few weeks later and be like, "Hey, can I get in that?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm full. Let me see." And then, we make it work. But, it's definitely a lot of word of mouth.
Is it a struggle in the city to get ice time? I'm thinking we do have a lot of ice in Halifax, but is there a shortage of ice here?
In the summertime, not so much. It depends on your hours. Like, I've typically worked the 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 jobs, so I couldn't really book those afternoons, in the summer that kids like to go to. So a lot of my stuff is at night. I do Monday and Thursday night. I try to space it out. I do Monday to Thursday night, and I'm out of the Centennial. I've been doing it now there for 4 years, so they kind of just give me my ice time again. So I was fortunate in that sense. Like, I do have that kind of locked up. But if I do want to expand, you have to fight for your hours for sure.
Really?
Yeah, you got to get in there early enough. Like, it's December. Tomorrow's December.
Is it?
Yeah, today's the last day of November. Stay hot. There's people sending out stuff for their program starting in May. So I don't personally do that. I like to think that the clients I had last year will just be waiting for it. I don't want to bug them. They're doing their own thing with their teams, and I don't want to be a distraction. So I don't want people to have to worry about money for May now. It's Christmas time, all that stuff. So I kind of just leave them alone. But there's invites going out for stuff. I got people contacting me saying, can my kid get in your sessions this summer? Like, blah, blah, blah. So people are thinking about it.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. I mean, you got to stay ahead of it. It's super competitive. Like I said, I typically have done kind of word of mouth invite only. I don't really do here's a registration form, like shoot me your stuff. Like I kind of stay away from that. I like to ensure that the kids who are choosing to train with me have a good environment around them, not to say, I do work with privileged specialized athletes. Like, they take it super serious. So I definitely want to keep the clientele kind of in the same frame of mind.
I like also how you keep it when they say, okay, you're coming to JB hockey development. It's like, all right, you're working with Jordan Burke. You're not working with Joe Blow, my third cousin, who's going to take you down here. He's going to do this with you. It's like, no, if you're working with me, you're working with me, which is a nice thing.
It's I struggle, this past year. I got guys who help me out, no question. Brad Rickman helps me out.
But I feel like you're always on the ice.
My brother helps me out. I'm always on the ice. I'll never miss a session. Those kids are wearing a jersey with my initials on it. My logo on it. I'm there, right? They're paying for me. Nothing's worse than signing your kid up for something and you think you're getting this, but you actually don't get it. That's just a terrible business model, and a lot of people try to get away with that. So I don't do it. If I'm on the ice, I'm hands-on. I'm providing the feedback. I'm giving the instruction. I'm there to make the connection with the kids.
Pride of ownership.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm very, I got a lot of buddies. God love yous for reaching out to me who say, I want to get on the ice. Can I come out and help out? I'm like, sorry, dude. Like, I got my guys. They know the routine. They know what we're trying to accomplish. Like, I just stick to that. Those are the guys I pay to help me out.
Yeah, which is fair, and which I feel like that creates a long business success.
Yeah.
Stick to a routine, stick to a plan, and just ride it out.
Nothing's worse than, showing up somewhere and you're trying to figure it out yourself. So I don't like doing that to other people.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? I show up, I strongly dislike showing up to a session and like, oh, can you do this? Like, well, I didn't prepare for it. So now I'm winging it. Like, I just don't like that. So I like to keep my guys as my guys.
One thing people always say with this company is like, oh, what's next? What are you guys doing next? And I always just say, well, I like what we're doing. I just want to get better at what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys doing like next? Like after this? And it's like, no, like I just want to make sure this podcast is great. I want to make sure our live streams are great. I want to make sure our mic'd up videos are great. I want to make sure our clothing's great. It's like, that's my focus. I don't want to.
I'm the same way.
It's just like, just find out what you're good at and learn how to be great at it.
Yeah, like I don't do any power skating. Like, Jill does a fantastic job in the city, and she's, that's her niche. I let her do it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why I'll have kids who skate with her in the afternoon, and that's why part of the reason they like my nighttime session is because they can go get a skating session in, then they can come with me and work on kind of dynamics and stuff like that. So, that's just the niche I have, and I just stick with it. I don't try to do 200 things. I try to stick to what I got, what I'm comfortable with, what I like the kids to work on. And, we introduce a skill, and then we work on the next practice. We have a new skill, but that previous practice skill is still involved. It's a prerequisite now for the future drills. You've seen it. You had dudes come out and try some stuff. Shout out dudes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, right? You guys came out and saw it. So, those guys have been doing stuff all summer, kind of building towards a final product. And I just stick to that. I don't like to, diverge from the plan.
The hotbed of talent coming out of this province. I'm not going to say it's Sid and Nate and Brad, but like it is. Like the people that come here from all around the world, it's incredible. And it is a trickle effect, if you ask me. If you look at all the talent that you're developing, that Jill's developing, like, Logan Shaw and like Igor and all those guys, like they're still here on the ice with Plendowski, but then they'll go out with Sid. It's just, it's unbelievable the amount of people that are in this part of the world training, trying to become better hockey players.
Yeah, man, too. Shout out to Andrew Wigington, too. I know he does a lot of stuff for Sackville minor hockey. Yeah, he's kind of like me out in the Sackville area. So he works with a lot of the athletes, too. So shout out him as well.
Okay, awesome. How much time are we at right now, Jeff?
50 minutes.
15? 50.
Yeah.
I was like, my hearing's going here. No, that's awesome. So next summer, everything's going to be back to normal, though. Like, it'll be like JB hockey development.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's changing.
No, nothing's changing, man. The only thing I like to do is get, a few swag items here and there, dress the kids up.
Yeah.
I get texts from buddies all the time. I got a text actually from R.D. Chisholm. You remember R.D. Chisholm?
Yeah.
Played junior A with him.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to R.D. in a couple of years. He shoots me a message saying, I saw a kid wearing a JB hockey hat. I was like, nice.
It's the best feeling.
It's the best feeling. You guys got it too with your high button stuff, but I definitely, I try to get things that the kids want to wear. I got some toques coming out that'll be here for like kind of wintertime, kind of like you guys did. So, just I like to make sure the kids are having fun and they get some perks along the way. They get some stuff, a token of appreciation for their support and things like that.
That's what it comes down to, man. Fun. If it's not fun, you're not doing it. Like I remember when I did those St. Mary's Huskies things with Nogs.
Oh,
And I told my dad, and I was just like, I'm not doing this unless it's fun. And you go the first day, you had a blast. You're like, hey, I'm wearing a different jersey that isn't the Halifax Hawks.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm still with my buddies. I'm on a different team.
Yeah.
Nogs brings a good environment. It's just like you don't do it unless it's fun. Same with like the Hurricanes and the Raiders. Like I know that's not hockey development, but it's just something outside of the Halifax Hawks. It was just fun to do something different.
Yeah, you got to make sure you balance, too, how much fun they have, right? At the end of the day, you're there to work. So, I keep it light for sure. That's kind of my thing, right? I keep it light, but I definitely make sure they're working hard because if you don't want to waste your money, right? So, you're wasting my time, your money, your parents' money. So some kids pay for themselves, so, don't waste your money.
When it comes to the development of hockey and you look at the process of it and how it's becoming more skilled, where do you get a lot of your information from? Just watching NHL? Is it YouTube?
Yeah, man. So, we kind of talked about this last time I was here. There's a couple guys in Europe I really enjoy watching. It's just a different style of skill, kind of posture, like dynamics. Like I call it functional skating, whether that's the right term or not. That's kind of the way I do it. Right now I look to them for a lot of inspiration. It's now been 7 years I've been doing it. So, you do build stuff and then you kind of adapt. I really like this from, what this guy's doing or this from so-and-so, like, and you try to, change your drills and work around it. But I'm also doing my Hockey Canada skills coach certification. So it's a specialized program. You got to apply, get accepted. And we've been doing it now since June, so
if you
get a lot of resources there as well.
So what happens if you get accepted?
Well, you're enrolled in the program. You got to do it's a year course. It's kind of like when you do your HP1 here in Nova Scotia for high performance coaching. You do a week of lectures and informational instructional stuff, and then you actually have an on ice component where you're supposed to go to Calgary where their headquarters is, and you go on the ice with some Hockey Canada athletes and you work with them, and you run a practice. They give you feedback, so it's a really cool environment and a really cool program. So we haven't done the on ice stuff yet, obviously because of COVID. Alberta's kind of been a mess right now, but they're trying to find ways to get us out there. So it's a real small program. There's only like 20 people across Canada in it. A lot of the people in there are AHL or NHL skills coaches, like things like that. So it's a really elite class, and I'm really like humbled to even be a part of it, right? I think there's only a few of us in Nova Scotia who will have that, accreditation.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's dope. And like Chris Culligan's went through the program. He's the assistant coach with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Kyle McDonald Duker, he's in the program as well. He's the technical director for TASA minor hockey, so he was the coach of the Cape Breton West Islanders when they won the TELUS. So it's a pretty good class to be with, right? So I'm enjoying it.
Speaking of Hockey Canada, who do you think the goalie is going to be for Team Canada this year?
I don't know. Probably someone from Ontario.
Where's Price from? Vancouver?
Oh, you mean the Olympics?
Olympics,
oh, dude, that's going to be. I mean, what a question that is. Like,
I'm just trying.
Hellebuck, maybe. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think goaltending's probably the weakness for Team Canada, if I'm being honest. I'd agree. I think that's probably their biggest weakness.
Someone said Tristan Jarry the other day has the best save percentage out of any Canadian goaltender right now.
Playing for Pittsburgh,
yeah.
I don't know. That team's going to be interesting, man. I'd be curious to see what that looks like because there's, speaking of politics, I'm picking the prospects game. I got a buddy who's a Leafs fan, man, Fouge, and he just pumps Morgan Riley's tires. I think Morgan Riley is like not a top 20 defenseman in the NHL.
Really?
Yeah. No, I think he's brutal. So, all the rosters have him on it projected, and I'm just like, no shot is he making that team, but he may.
It's going to be going back to the goalie thing. Luongo is the general manager of the team, and so you talk about the IQ of a goalie and knowing what a goalie thinks and feels. You're telling me that Luongo and Carey Price aren't having conversations right now. How are you? What do you think? And what's going on?
I know. It's going to be super interesting to see. I honestly there's so many goalies, and it seems like the carousel changes every year of who's good and who's not. I couldn't even tell you which guys are the top Canadian guys lined up for it because, Fleury would have been a few years ago, but, he's on a tough team right now. Like, are you going to rock with Fleury? Like, I don't know, right? They're
saying he's going to be the third goalie.
Yeah, there's some.
Vezina last year.
Yeah, I know he won the Vezina, but like,
he did win the Vezina last year, didn't he?
Yeah, so goaltending's the tough one, man, because there's,
But
even in scouting, I don't even, I leave the goalies to the goalie stuff. I'm just like, that's their own department, man. Who I think's a good goalie may not be what a goalie coach thinks is a good goalie. So
that's fair.
Yeah, just not my world, right?
Every time I think
stay in my lane.
Every time I think of Fleury and Team Canada, I think of that World Juniors when he's going back for the goal after someone knocked it in.
After he shot it off someone in the net.
He's wearing the yellow pads. Like,
I know. So I don't know. I mean, speaking of Jarry, he just got lit up there in the shootout against Calgary. But yeah, I don't know. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be fun to watch. I love the Olympics. It's so good.
It's gonna go. When is it? February.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go World Juniors.
Yeah.
Be hungover for a bit, relax, and then we're gonna go right back into Olympics. It's
Olympics
gonna be great.
In U18 playoff hockey.
Yeah. Telus Cup.
See, the great thing I love about that is it's the time where it's the shittiest weather, but there's the most entertainment.
Yeah, man.
There's the most things on TV. It's the best.
No, I know. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun to have the kids, kind of get together and watch a game. Hopefully Canada does well. We've kind of missed those sort of team activities the past few years, being able to do that stuff. So hopefully it goes through this year. Hopefully they play. Hopefully they don't back out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's always a possibility, right? So I think someone was telling me that they have Claude Julien's coaching like a spares team just in case the NHLers pull out or something. Someone was telling me that there was an article written about it. So
who would the spares be?
Guys who are playing in Europe, guys playing in the KHL,
like
the
Spangler
Dell,
Cup thing.
Basically a Spangler Cup type thing.
Yeah, man, we'll see. I hope so. I hope the Olympics happen, man. I've been waiting for this since I guess last year or whenever they announced it.
They canceled the last round for them, right? So it'd be really really awesome to see guys like McDavid and McKinnon all in a line and shit.
Marchand. Marchand's been snubbed from 2. They were saying he could have made the team 8 years ago.
Yeah, it has been 8 years ago. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's going to be such a competitive team to make, man. Guys like Huberdeau, do they take them or do they want something different? I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of question marks. So it'll be there's going to be a couple just like, whoa, who's this guy? Whoa, he made it.
Hey, politics, right?
The guy from Calgary right now has 14, 15 goals.
Japan, yeah.
What's his name?
Majipan. I can't say it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying
or whatever.
They're saying he's the next real deal.
Zach Hyman, because he plays with McDavid.
Hyman, yeah, well, we could play with McDavid. Anyone.
Yeah,
we'll see.
He'd look good on the Sleeman Clear 2.0, buddy. He'd look really good. Jeez, we're just a farm team, man. We play teams, and I get buddies that message me, and they're like, "You guys are dicks."
Really?
Yeah, they're like, "You guys are dicks. Your team's too good."
When we were out the other day, the ref was like, "Where's Burke? It's too late for him to play." He was chirping. Yeah, he wasn't even there.
Oh, well, I give it to them, right? I always run in my mouth, so they're just sick of it. They want to give it back. So
man.
Funny, man.
Let me know if you need me though this week.
Oh, you always need someone, buddy. You know what it's like.
Spare.
Beer league's always tough to find guys, right? It's especially us. We're a firefighter team, so we got 4 or 5 guys on the same shift. So if the game happens to be on a shift night, you're missing half your team. So
I didn't know that. So we got a bunch of firefighters. I thought your brother was the only one.
Yeah, no, there's a couple other ones. So it's always tough. Some nights they can't make it. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to give a shout out to anyone?
Shout out? No, maybe just say, actually, you know what? We talked about the Monctonian, shout out to St. John Vitos for winning that thing. What an event. Hopefully we'll get to see you down at the Ice Jam here in the new year. Shout out to them for winning that. What a tournament. They played a hell of a game against us. Really well coached. And shout out, I guess, to all the Subaru kids. We're kind of finding our footing a bit here, playing some good hockey. They're giving it their all. So shout out to you guys. We'll see you tonight. And thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate being here. I know we're buddies, but I always appreciate coming on, talking shop, and, catching up.
Always, man. Burke, you're always welcome back. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, man. No problem. Thanks.
Everyone listening, also good luck the rest of the way. We hope we see you, Telus Cup, Atlantics, finals, something. We just hope we see it down the line.
We just need something to go our way for once.
Yeah, you'll be fun. The more you do well, the more we do well. So it works out. So everyone listening, thank you very much once again for tuning in. It is Tuesday, November 30th. November's wrapping up. Work hard, have fun, keep your stick on the ice. We're out. Peace.